try an experiment. We've actually got some charts and graphs to show the points that you've been making. So to your point, the CPI overall, the level is up 17%.
Yeah.
Now, 30 months into it, Biden's inflation rate, 7.4% at an annual rate. Yours, less than 2%,
yeah.
1.9%.
It was actually a perfect number, too. You know,
unbelievable.
You're a student of inflation, right? You know how inflation... But literally, 2% is the perfect number. They actually don't want it to be zero.
Yeah.
They want it to be 2%, and we hit 2%, if you think, 1.9%.
And by the way, I love your commentary, but look at this. Grocery prices, food at home. The level is up 20%. Under your administration, 2%, again. And then finally, on gasoline, Biden's back to $3.87. That's this week.
Going up.
Yours was around $2 a gallon,
right.
actually.
That's right.
This is the stuff that's driving people crazy. Let's go to the second one.
Okay.
He says he's created 13 million new jobs. Nobody can find it.
Yeah.
Okay. 2.1 million. You had 4.9 million.
That's right.
He says he's created 800,000 manufacturing jobs. No one can find them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's maybe recovery from COVID, but that's all. You had more than twice as many. And then the other thing, in terms of people hurting and living paycheck to paycheck, the mortgage rate has jumped from 2.65% to 7.5%, 751. That is killing people. And I don't know that anyone's interviewed a president before and done all these numbers, but, you know, I know you like to do the numbers. And this is the story. There was a Trump boom, and there's a Bidenomics bust. I want to play a sound. Here's Biden attacking you.
When I took office, the pandemic was raging, and our economy was reeling. Am I taking blame for inflation? No.
Correct. Why not?
Because it was already there when I got here, man. Remember what the economy was like when I got here? Jobs were hemorrhaging. Inflation was rising. We weren't manufacturing a damn thing here.
What do you make of that? Untruths? I mean, I could call it another word, but after all.
It's a disgrace. We had the greatest economy in history. We then got hit by the pandemic, and then all those jobs were coming back, and we had them back. All of those jobs that we created at a level that nobody's ever seen before, they were all coming back. They were pouring back. And for him to make the statement, I mean, here's one number, the mortgage rate's almost at 8%. And you know, they don't say there's one other thing, you can't get a mortgage. I mean, aside from the 8, you can't, people aren't able to get a mortgage. And we had it down to 2.65, even lower than that. Our gasoline price, you know, the gasoline price is at around $2. We actually had it down much lower than that for a big portion of time. No, we were doing a fantastic job, and I just see these numbers.
Don't you think? That's killing people. It's killing ordinary people who have to drive to work. It's killing truck drivers.
It's so bad.
It's killing. So bad. It's killing housewives. It's killing suburbs.
Right.
All right. So there's a way out of this to get these prices back down.
New president. You got to get rid of this guy. Look, we have so many things that we're going to do, but one of the big ways, you got to get the price of energy down. Mm-hmm. And we have more energy under our feet. You know, I call it liquid gold. That's what we have. And we were going to be energy dominant. We were energy independent. We were, for the first time, I would say ever, but we were energy independent. We're going to be very shortly, within a year, we're going to be energy dominant. We were going to supply, and you worked on that very hard. You remember you were showing me the ships and the difference between pipelines and ships and all that.
LNG, yes, sir.
But we were going to be sending energy to Europe at a level that we never saw before. We were going to make a fortune with it, like Saudi Arabia. You know, we were number 3 and number 4. And by the time I left, we were number 1 by a lot in terms of energy, oil and gas. We were sending it over to Europe. We were going to send it over to Europe in record numbers. We were going to pay off debt, massive amounts of debt. You know, we were making a fortune with this. And we were going to be paying off debt, and we were going to lower taxes even further. And it would have been a beautiful picture, but now they've stopped all of that. I mean, they ended Anwar. Ronald Reagan, a friend of yours, as you know, he wanted and authors, especially authors, right? But he wanted to get Anwar, and I got Anwar. Anwar could be the size of Saudi Arabia in Alaska, could be the size of Saudi Arabia. We would have had an energy boom like nobody has ever seen before, and we were going to use that to pay off the $35 trillion in debt. You would have been able to take big chunks out of that, and also at the same time lower taxes for middle-income people. And it would have been a beautiful thing, but they ended it. Look, they ended that, then they left the borders open. We built almost 500 miles of border wall. We were going to put up another 200. It was all made. It was sitting there ready to be installed. Would have taken 3 weeks. We were all set, and they didn't want it. I mean, the whole thing is incredible.
He spends his time attacking fossil fuels, A, and B, business in general. I don't think I've ever heard a president in either party attack business so much or attack oil and gas companies and coal companies that employ tens of millions of Americans. I don't understand that, sir.
Larry, you watch him, he can't put two sentences together. He doesn't know where he is. He can't walk up a flight of stairs, let alone down a flight of stairs. And you look at this guy, we have the most corrupt president in the history of our country, and we have the most incompetent, simultaneously the most incompetent president. And what he's doing to this country, millions and millions of people are pouring into our country. Look at New York City, look at Chicago, look at these cities, what's happening to them, with hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens coming into and sleeping on Madison Avenue and sleeping in Central Park. And nobody's ever seen anything like this. And by the way, they're coming out of prisons, they're coming out of mental institutions, and they're terrorists, a lot of them. And this is going to be a problem for this country for a long time. And we have to close up that border. We have to seal it up, except for people that want to come in legally. Like we had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have, I think, the worst border in the history of the world. I mean, there's no country that would have allowed this to happen. And it's almost as though they want it to happen. It's almost as though, because the concept of open borders, especially when you don't even check the people just walk into the country. So we don't even know where they come. They come from countries that nobody ever even heard of. And last month, they had 142 countries that people came in from these countries. Many of them nobody ever heard of. What's going on with Joe Biden is, it's insane. But when you watch him, he can't speak, he can't walk, he can't do anything. And he's telling us about energy, and he's telling us about Russia and nuclear weapons. This guy is going to get us into a nuclear war.